good evening, or good afternoon, depending on what side of the pond you're on, and welcome to an extra special edition of Across the Pitch. My name is Phil Kennedy, and I'm here with my co-hosts Darren Woodhead and Tony Robinson, where we welcome an extra special guest on the show today. We're going to do something a little bit different than we've done in the past, where Accrington Stanley is playing against Exeter this Saturday, and we have a very special guest, David Earl, joining us. He's recently started a podcast about Exeter, and it's his new football club. So first off, thank you for joining us, and start off by telling us a bit about your podcast and how you got into following Exeter.
I started the podcast last October, November. I moved down to Exeter last year, and when I moved down, I thought I really want to follow a football team. So I've always supported Man United, but never gone to watch them really. And I thought I want to follow a local team and see if I can get into them and take my boys. That was the main thing, to take my boys every Saturday and get them into a local side. And so I asked some people who I should go and see, and it was Plymouth, Torquay, or Exeter, and Exeter came out on top. So I took my eldest to see Exeter, and I was in straight away. I just wasn't used to going to watch a football match. So walking out, and there were 6,000 people walking out or walking into the ground. I was like, bloody hell, this is brilliant. And and look back, and I do a podcast with a friend called Joe Wilkinson, and I would tell him on a Monday how it went, and he thought I sounded like an idiot because everything was new to me. So he would laugh when I told him I wouldn't know where to park, and I felt nervous going to the ground on my own. And so he said, "Oh, let's just record all this," and so that's how it started. And I'm still going to see him.
So obviously, I've listened to all of the podcasts, David, and they're really great, and they're quite quirky. But I've just noticed recently it's going more mainstream. You're tending to attract a slightly different type of football fan at the moment, aren't you, on the Twitter, etc.
I know. So we played Cheltenham. Have you played them yet?
No, not yet.
Bloody hard work. So we played them last Saturday, and I didn't like the way that there's a lot of time wasting, and we kind of said that on the pod, and then we got quite a bit of abuse on Twitter this week. And I thought, I forgot this what football fans can be like sometimes. So I'm just going to try and alienate those people as much as I can over the next few weeks.
Yeah, you started making back to comments about players having nice legs and things like that, haven't you? So I think that'll put some off. Floppy hair and nice legs. So.
Yeah. Well, I like the characters on the pitch. When I first got there, I was like, oh, he's got nice white boots. He's got good floppy hair. I just tried to turn them into little characters, and then I I guess for 2 or 3 weeks, I sort of focused more on the game. And then we started attracting, some unpleasant fans.
Do you find you fall into your characters from your acting when you're doing your podcasts at times, or is it just mainly you in your point of view?
Well, no, I definitely play up to. I try and I hope I know I'm being a bit of an idiot, and I play the fool a bit more than. But I just, I am new to going to watch football, and the whole experience was brand new. And so I just, sort of dug into that. And so when I felt embarrassed about not knowing where to park and not knowing where to queue and pissing in my pants in the toilets, I just made sure I made a note on my phone and told Joe about it on the Monday. Yeah.
Oh, that sounds like something Brian would do in Afterlife.
Yeah. Well, he probably is me, to be honest with you.
Yeah. And you started the podcast just at the right time, didn't you? I mean, I know you've been quite bold in your predictions about this season, about Exeter getting promoted again, but last year you had a fantastic season, didn't you?
Yeah, I mean, when I joined, I think they were 8 games unbeaten. A majority of them were draws. And then they just started winning. I think they went 17 games unbeaten. I genuinely couldn't see where we were going to lose. And then there was one guy, we played some game, I watched it on iFollow, and God, it was awful. And we lost 1-0. I was like, oh, okay, all right, it's a reality bit. But then they got promoted. There was a guy who sat near me last year, and he said, I've been coming 20 years. I think he'd waited 13 years to get out of League Two or something. I was like, oh, right, I've only been here 4 weeks.
Yeah. You haven't got the scars of disappointment, have you, that most football fans have got over many years. So I think that's...
So how long have Accrington been in League One?
So we've had round about 5 years in League One, haven't we? This is the fifth season, I think, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say you. Oh no problem. I was going to say you. You kind of timed yours about the same way that we timed starting this, because this is the fifth season for Accrington in League One. We started across the pitch the year after it was the promotion from League Two. So the first season in League One was when we started doing across the pitch, and we've been doing it ever since. And so I kind of started where I was an Arsenal fan, and then I switched to Accrington Stanley, and like you said, it's just the passion of the lower league game. It's just, it's just so much different, and just finding Accrington Stanley is, in my opinion, not only the greatest little club in the world, but the greatest club in the whole world, just because of the whole family.
All right, steady on something.
Oh, man. He's like this every week. Not your film.
Well, when we were watching, we played Wickham last Tuesday. It's such a good game. We beat them 3-1. And when we scored, I jumped up and cheered. And I think that's the first time I've done that. It's taken 9 months. And I thought, shit, I'm really feeling it. Yeah. I'm properly invested now. I still feel like a bit of a fraud when I'm sat in amongst all these people, but I feel like I've got to know the players now, and So you've been in League One 5 years, because I was watching Cheltenham on Saturday. I was like, I don't want to stay in this league any more than a year. I want to get up. I'm done with League One.
Yeah, it's been interesting for us, because although we're a really small club, we're similar story. We've probably doubled our fan base since we've got into League One. So you have a lot of new fans with expectations that you're going to keep winning, and it's a interesting scenario, really, where managing those people's expectations, that you can't just keep going through the leagues, through the divisions, so which we don't.
So where have you ended up in League One at the end of the season? You kind of safe?
Mid-table normally. It's quite safe. But bearing in mind, we've had 4 promotions to get into this division in the past 20 years, so it's been success after success, really, but steady.
And is it really hard to get out of League One?
Well, Sunderland will tell you it is.
Yeah.
But you guys are in ninth right now with 7 points, which is a great start. And so Stanley, I think that 14th was where Stanley finished their first season in League One. And I think 11th is the highest that we've finished. So, anything 20th or better where you're staying up is good for Stanley, because, I mean, what we're looking at is a stadium where 5,000 people is standing room. So, it's just crazy. The entire population of Accrington could fit inside a Sunderland stadium. That's what they used to joke about. So that's why we're trying to grow the international fan base, and, tell, this club really puts it above its weight.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I mean, to previous guests we've had on the show, we've asked the question, which would be a bigger story, Leicester winning the Premier League or Accrington Stanley getting promoted into League One, into the Championship? Sorry. And a lot of people think the Stanley getting promoted, it would be a bigger story because of where the club has come from back 50 some years ago. And so I think, there's people that are happy to be in League One, and there's ones that would like to see us go in the Championship, but the expectations are not, we have to get out of League One.
Yeah. So how big's your stadium? What's the capacity of the stadium?
Just over 5,000. So
what happens?
It's tiny.
What would happen if you got promoted? Would they look to expand, or how does that work?
I'm not too sure, to be honest. We've never really had to have the conversation, but I'm sure they'd extend it slightly.
You get 25, 30 people in your living room, Darren?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's the one.
Well, I'm an idiot. I feel like we're going to get promoted.
Yeah, you may do. It does happen.
Wow,
some teams through the playoffs, you never know.
Years ago,
yeah, Wycombe did it, didn't they? Yeah, it does happen. Burton Albion did it. They're quite small, but one difference between Exeter and Accrington will be you'll have a decent catchment area. Although you're not a massive club, we have got so many huge clubs around us. The Manchester clubs, for instance, we're only 20 odd mile away from Manchester, and we've got Burnley, Blackburn, Preston, Blackpool. They're just, they're everywhere we look. So it's a difficult.
This. I mean, on that M65 stretch, there's 4 towns that were founding members of the Football League in 1888. So, and then Everton, and so it is like Darren said, you fight for every fan you can get, because if Burnley are at home, Stanley may be playing at home, and if Stanley is at home, maybe Rovers are at home. So you struggle to get in, but there is a lot of people now who from around the area who have Stanley as their second team.
Yeah,
you have to play on that. You have to work with that.
Yeah.
So, what do you think about this coming match, David? Who should we be watching out for in Exeter's team? Who impresses you?
Wow. What, hair or legs?
Hair and legs. Well, we've got one or two like that as well. Tommy, you'll like Tommy Lee in our midfield. He's got lovely hair and long legs.
I'll keep an eye out. Right. So we've come off the back of 2 losses, like that fucking weird loss. Sorry for, pardon my French, but a weird loss against Cheltenham, which was just drab. And then we lost to Gillingham last night on penalties, which is apparently was a terrible game. So we've had 2 losses, but we up until then, we'd beaten Cheltenham 7-0. We beat Port Vale 4-0. We had a brilliant game last week against Wycombe, which won 3-1. Wycombe looked really good. So if we can get back to that, the players, Giovanni Brown up front. He was called up Jamaica, but he's come back early. So Giovanni Brown up front, Kite scoring a lot of goals in midfield, and like everyone's playing well, everyone's doing well. We've got a great goal at Jamal. He's come from, I think he was in Chelsea originally, but
the clip. I saw the clip when you were winning 2-1. Last few minutes, he took 2 players on in his own box, didn't he?
It was so good. It was such a good moment. But he's like 6'7", 6'8", and you've got to do well to get past him. Jack Sparks at left back. There's some good players. So it's just the last couple of games have been a bit off. But we've just signed. We got someone today called. Do you know Raheem Harper?
I saw the name. I don't know. He's from Liverpool, is he?
He was. I know he's played for West Brom, and he was England under-19. But it's quite exciting.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the things that I've noticed the last 2 or 3 years with John Coleman, Jimmy Bell, is that the loan players that they've been able to bring in are from the Premier League clubs. Like years ago, that would have been a total dream. But you get people from Chelsea, Man City, Liverpool, especially as well. So I mean, that to me is a sign that you're doing the right thing, and you've sort of an established club because you're getting loan players from the top divisions.
Well, I had to get used to just lower league teams changing, or the personnel changing every 2 or 3 years. I didn't realise that happened. So this is all new to me, that like John on the podcast was saying, I think it was John just saying, don't fall in love with a player on loan. And And so this is all new. It's like, how long has your current Accrington team stayed together at the moment?
Yeah,
how long have they been together?
Same scenario. They have got a core team, but they've since we got promoted, but we've lost a couple every year. And anyone who does quite well, obviously they move on. It's financially they're going to do, aren't they? So I know what John means. Ongoing battle to keep anyone.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the revenue streams at this club is that if they develop a good young player, 23, 24, and he draws the attention of a bigger team, then that's part of the business model is develop him, sell him on, and invest the money back into the club. But you're going back before Andy Holt came aboard, and Darren would know this better than anyone, is that the players were only 1-year contracts. Because they didn't have and so every year, John Coleman would have to really start from scratch. So you had almost a basically new team every year. And then Andy Holt said, well, we're going to sign players to longer contracts. And like Darren said, you can build around the core of a team then. And that's what they've done. And they've had success with it.
Yeah.
One of the things that I've
gone. Sorry.
Well, I was going to say one of the things that I've noticed in terms of the lower league teams is it seems that, in terms of midfielders, you can tend to keep your midfielders around longer. It tends that the strikers and the center backs, especially, those are the players that seem to have a lot of value and get sold off and change a lot more often. So I think building a solid midfield and signing those guys to longer contracts and then, getting in those strikers and selling them off has really been Accrington's strategy.
Right. How are Accrington doing this year? How have they started?
Well, we're actually undefeated at the moment.
I think the results at the end of the game have been good, but I don't think that it's what John Coleman wanted to see. Because at the end of last season, he said the biggest problem was that we had shipped too many goals, and that this year he wanted to focus on defense and hopefully have a lot of 1-0 wins. And we've had completely the opposite. Like Tony said, we're undefeated. We're 1 win, 3 draws, and had a game get canceled, but we're close to top of the league in goals scored and goals allowed both. We had a 4-4 game earlier, so the results have been good, but not the way it was drawn up.
Right.
No, we scored against was it Burton Albion was 4-4, and they scored 2 goals in injury time to get the draw. So I mean they could score, but they are conceding a bit, and we've got 2 of our top centre backs, Michael Nottingham, he's on the shelf for a bit, and J. Rich Bagley, who was going to potentially have a good season, he's out for the season. So that kind of they're really starting from trying to rebuild that back 4.
Right.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how many supporters Exeter bring, because we haven't played for quite a few years. So. It obviously quite a long way, isn't it?
I got a trivia question actually on that. Yeah. What was the last match between Exeter and Accrington, and what was the score?
That's easy. Next. I don't know.
It was actually
6 years ago.
Yeah, it was 2018. I'll give you guys that.
Who won?
It was a draw, actually. It was a 1-1 draw on April 14th, 2018. That was in League 2. And then that one was at Accrington. Earlier that season, Exeter did win 2-0 at Exeter. All-time series is 8 wins for Exeter, 5 for Accrington. And that was the only draw that we've ever had in
So all that means nothing on Saturday anyway, doesn't it, Phil? So,
no.
What I know John said Giovanni Brown. I wanted to ask you about your Jamaican striker, Giovanni Brown. He's 3 goals, 2 assists this year. I saw he had 12 assists and 7 goals last year. He's quite a player for you.
He's really, I think he's gone up a notch as well this season. I feel like I have to make it clear that I don't know what I'm talking about. but I feel like he has gone up a notch. He's got such a lovely touch up front. He's probably on the ball. He's probably the classiest. He's pretty dangerous. I don't think he played. Did he play against Cheltenham? He didn't play against Cheltenham. Yeah. So, and I think we missed him. And he's definitely one to watch.
Well, see, if he has a good season, he's the type of player that could move up and get. You may not have him around if he does. That's the thing with League One. If he does really well, he could move on.
Yeah, I don't like that part of lower league football. I'm just not used to it. Just been watching Man United for 35 years.
It looks like this is actually his first season in League One. Before Exeter, he'd been with Colchester, Forest Green, and Cambridge. He's been real successful in League Two, 6 or 7 goals, and anywhere between 8 and 12 assists every year. I mean, this guy is a player, and like I said, he's from Jamaica, and over here in the U.S., we have a lot of players that play in the USL and the MLS from Jamaica. And they really just seem to have some really good, talented strikers that come out of Jamaica for whatever reason.
Right. Who's your star player?
Oh, we've got too many to mention, David.
Have you really? I've got time.
Yeah. Well,
Joe Pritchard, if he was healthy, would be my pick. Who would you guys say?
Well, I like Ethan Hamilton. He's a good. He can play all around in the midfield. He can play back, but he's a good attacking midfielder, and he can score. But Joe Pritchard definitely, if he's healthy, he could be one of the best players in the league if he stays healthy.
Yeah, I'll go with that. Yeah, obviously Sean McConville, he's played for us for numerous years. He's the go-to guy in tight games, etc. He tends to get some set pieces and things like that. One thing I was going to ask you, David, is you wrote the sitcom The Rovers a few years ago, which I enjoyed. Oh. Where did the inspiration for that come from? Because obviously that was way before Exeter.
Yeah. Well, Joe was supporting Gillingham, and Joe's brother is a huge Gillingham nut.
Yeah.
So, mate, was it from Joe's? I don't know, but Joe and I started going to watch Three Bridges, who are in, I don't know what league that they were in, Sussex Div 1 at the time, and Burgess Hill, who was Sussex Div 1. I think if you win that, you go into the Conference South or something. I don't know. But they would get, say, 300 people, 250 people watching them. And it just made us laugh. Not that, but we would go and watch them, and a player might get subbed and he'd walk past us and we'd be like, bloody hell, it's like they would be superstars to us.
Yeah.
And yet no one's heard of them. They were probably like a plumber during the week. But we just thought there was lots of comedy, potential there. And it just felt like a rich environment for sitcom. Really, we loved writing that and coming up with little ideas.
It was good. The reason I mentioned it because at that time, well, not that time, a few years previously, we only had 400 or 500 people watching Accrington. So that really, it resonated with me because the type of things you were laughing at, going in the clubhouse after and things like that. It's where we've
like the
from.
Players' Lounge as well.
Yeah. Until a year or two ago, we still have that, even though we're playing in the Football League. But since then, there's been a lot of development. But I know exactly where you're coming from. I think it was filmed up here in Northwest.
It was filmed at, where is it?
Somewhere near Stockport. Where was it?
It was really pretty.
Yeah, it'll come to me in a minute. Yeah.
But obviously Craig Cash, who
New Mills, was it New Mills?
Yes, New Mills. Yeah. That was it.
That was it. Yeah.
I don't know what standard that is, New Mills.
No, quite a few leagues below. Where we were. Yeah.
Craig is a huge football fan. He supports Man City, but he was brilliant to write it with. Just loved that standard of football.
Good.
Do you find, David? Do you find when you go to watch a League One match that it's it's more real football, like where you can smell and you can almost touch the players. It's instead of like where you go to a big thing like Wembley or Tottenham and places like that where it's just 50, 60,000 and you don't really get the sense of what's going on. But at League One, I mean, you can smell the mud, you can hear the players, feel it, sense the tackles. Do you find that's part of the ambience, the experience you have?
Well, to be honest with you, I mean, that's one of the reasons I started following Exeter, because I hadn't really gone to watch any matches for some reason. I've been to see Brighton a couple of times. I've seen Man United 2 or 3 times, but I don't really feel like I've got much experience of watching live football matches. So my Exeter experience is just brand new, starting from square one, really. So, but yeah, it does feel like you are on top of the players, and yeah. So I haven't really got that experience to lean.
How big a stadium is it, Exeter's?
I think the capacity, is 8. I think around 8.
It's a little bigger. A little bigger than the one stadium.
Yeah, I mean, I'm already designing like the new stadium, going, well, you could go up there and. But I've been told that
82-19. 82-19 is what.
Oh, there you go.
There you go. He's
I know my stuff.
St. James Park, home of the Grecians. I think Tony wanted to know the history behind the Grecians.
Why the nickname the Grecians? I don't know the answer.
Yeah, you might want to Google that one.
All right.
Yeah. But we've got a stand and all standing part of the stadium, which is called the Big Bank. I'm sure they told me it's the biggest. Oh, I don't know.
Biggest standing terrace. Yeah, it will be. That's left. Yeah,
it's
it will be, because most of it's gone all seater, hasn't it? Since apart from a few clubs.
Yeah, I don't know how many it holds. I'm guessing maybe 2.5, 3 in there, and it's really loud. When they're behind the team, it seems to make a massive difference. Yeah, it's really loud.
Well, I'm coming down for the return fixture in.
Are you?
March. So a friend of mine, he lives in Teignmouth. I don't know how far that is from you, but so I'm coming down for the weekend in March. And
great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really nice. Yeah.
I did find the information here. Apparently, the Grecians started out in 1901 as St. Sidwell's United, and apparently it was a heavily Greek area of town, and then they just kind of kept the nickname as tradition.
Oh.
So there's your trivia for the day.
Yeah, there you go. I should have known that for us.
Yeah, there you go.
I remember the only thing I know about Accrington Stanley, probably this has been mentioned loads, is that advert from the 80s.
Yeah.
Was it with the two boys?
No, we've never heard of that.
No, you never heard that, no. Sorry for mentioning that.
No, it's fine. No, it's it put us on the map, definitely. I think
how I heard of it the first time.
Yeah, that's probably why Phil's on this podcast now, because of that advertisement, isn't it?
Yeah.
And they redid one about, was it 5 or 6 or 7 years ago, Darren? And they got 2 lads, and they were saying about, well, you won't be good enough to play for Accrington Stanley. And then the camera pans over, and Ian Rush is sitting there, and Ian Rush says, well, that's not quite true, because Accrington Stanley are quite good these days.
I think I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, they got Ian Rush to come in, and they remade it. He said it was right after the promotion, and they said Ian Rush said, "Yeah, Accrington been promoted to League One." There was also where they redid it. The original actor's a guy named Carl Rice. They redid it with vodka. Later on, there was some kind of milk flavored vodka or something that came out. They got this guy to redo it, and then I guess it got pulled off the air because they said they were promoting vodka to kids or something like that. But there's a lot of history behind that, and I guess you could go anywhere in the world and say Accrington, and the first thing you'll hear is, who are they?
Right. Yeah,
we do tend to get it quite a bit. So predictions for Saturday. What do we think, guys?
Let David go first.
Go on, David.
Well, I don't know. Right. So have you drawn 3, 1-1? And you're shipping goals.
Yeah.
Now, keeping in mind, Exeter haven't won away. The 2 league matches, I think they've drawn 1 and lost 1. So, and they've only scored 2 goals, away goals. So I don't know. Anyway, what do you think, David?
1-0.
1-0.
1-0.
Bill?
Well, you know what I'm looking at is both of these teams have been scoring. Exeter hasn't been shipping the way that we have, but I'm going to say high scoring, not quite 4-4. I'll go 3-3 though. I'm going to say a high scoring draw.
Wow.
Darren?
2-0 Accrington.
Nice. I hope you're right.
And I've absolutely no doubt about that either.
I'm going 2-1 for Stanley.
Yeah.
Oh, bloody hell, Spurs.
Yeah, I'm never confident normally about Accrington, but I think we're going to win this one.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I think we're due a win.
Yeah.
What is Exeter's kind of rallying cry, if you will? We normally finish up with an on Stanley on. What do you guys like to shout out in the stadium?
Well, I'm still trying to work it out. I can't work out the lyrics. Are they called lyrics? But I very often go, what are they saying there? Then they're saying that. Are they? So I haven't really worked out their chants yet. But we got a tremendous drummer. I don't know if he's going up there. Don't know.
We have a drum in the Clayton end.
Yeah. Be a drum off them.
Yeah,
there we go.
Yeah.
So do you watch when they're on away? Do you watch it on my iFollow or?
Yeah, I try to. Yeah, I really like settling down on the sofa and watching iFollow for some reason. I think it just because it feels a little bit noddy. But I do try and keep in touch and watch what they're up to. Or I'll listen to it on the radio, or because John, who does the podcast, he commentates for Radio Devon. So I'll listen to John do that. Yeah.
Well, hopefully it's my first match back coming over from Canada since COVID. So I'm quite excited just to get to the stadium. And a win would be a bonus, but you know what? It could be 2-2 as well because a draw could well be on the cards. But I hope we win, and I just hope it's a good match to watch, and it's a good result. So we'll see.
Can I ask one question?
Fire away. Yeah.
Always.
Have you seen any sort of superstars play at Accrington, like in a cup match? And because the guy I was sitting next to on Saturday, he told me he watched a young Ronaldo at Exeter, and I'm pretty sure he said he saw Chris Waddle's debut for Newcastle or something, and Ian Rush. I was just wondering if you'd seen any big names.
I've seen a big name on his way down. That was Edgar Davids.
Yeah,
no. Edgar Davids. Yeah, he ended up. He managed player manager for Barnet, believe it or not. Yeah, after he'd finished with Tottenham, he did a very short stint.
How old was he?
It must have been about 50. No, he was about 38, I think, 39.
Wow!
And he got sent off. He got that fed up of everybody kicking lumps out of him. He retaliated and got sent off.
What did he look? Did he look a class above?
Oh, he was unbelievable. He just dropped back from midfield, went to the back and just spraying balls all over the pitch. It was incredible. Yeah. Chris Waddle. Go on, Phil.
Well, I was going to say, I've got one that was not with Accrington, but here in Phoenix, because he was part owner of the team. It's got to see Didier Drogba for 2 seasons.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
he was 42 at the time, and he was still the best player in the league.
Wow. I read that. Do you remember Taribo West?
Yes,
he played for. I think he played for Plymouth, and said he was sort of 38, and they found out he was like 59 or something. Yeah, like he was really old, too old. Yeah.
Speaking of Plymouth, that's your derby match that you did this year, and you hadn't had that the last couple of years. I bet you're really looking forward to that.
Sort of, although John's kind of warned me that it can get a little bit nasty, and he's kind of saying, you got to watch yourself walking back to your car. I'm like, really? Is it that bad? Yeah. So
the one player that I remember seeing for Stanley live was, and he was at the end of his career, was James Beattie that played for Southampton.
Really? Yeah.
He was a player manager at the time, wasn't he, Darren?
Yeah, he did a stint as manager for us, player manager, then manager. Yeah. I don't think you get as many players dropping down the leagues. They've earned that much money now, haven't they? Don't they, through the Premier League? Whereas they used to go right through the divisions, and you'd think, well, what are they doing here? But obviously money. They don't need it.
I read last year. Do you remember Julian Joachim?
Yes. Yeah.
I think he's played for about like 30 or 35 teams.
Yeah.
And like I think he retired last year, sort of age 42, and he's just got all this list of teams he's played for. Yeah.
Got 2 pages on Wikipedia, probably.
Darren, did Jamie Vardy play against Accrington in League Two at all?
He didn't. No, I don't recall him playing against us, but he obviously came up the leagues, didn't he? Right from Stocksbridge, Park Steels, yeah. So
how old was he when he played for? Was it Fleetwood?
Yeah. He probably got signed from Stockbridge when he was about 21. Went to Fleetwood for a year or two, and then on to Leicester.
Amazing.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Well, one last claim to fame we had Brett Ormerod that was played for Stanley and went on to Southampton, and the money's coming back from the sales for him was one of the reasons that sort of invested into Stanley and helped them go sort of up the league. So he's a well-known player too. And he actually does the commentary on some match days too, doesn't he?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. He's a guest on the show, and he scored the goal that got Blackpool into the Premier League too.
Yep.
Yeah, he's a good fella. He's from around here too. Anyway,
we need to get him on again, Darren.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Right.
Dude. Thanks for joining us this evening.
Well, thanks for having me.
It's been a great chat about football. I think we're 260 episodes in. We've had numerous guests on. I was going to say you're the most famous, but we've had David Bumble Lloyd on, so he blows you out to the water. Yeah, so he's an Accrington guy.
I love him. Who does he support?
Accrington. Yeah, he's from Accrington. He's Bumble. Yeah. So.
Love him.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you know what? When Rovers went out, he put a tweet out saying how much he liked it, and I was like, felt like I've done my job. Yeah.
Yeah. No, he's a great guy.
Yeah, he's lovely.
You're the second most famous person been on our show, David.
Well, I'll take that.
To get that one in.
Yeah.
No, thanks very much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you so much.
On Saturday.
Yeah, well, it's not going to happen, but there you go.
we really enjoyed the chat, and good luck. And you want to give your Exeter shout or chant as we wrap up here, because we're going to do it on Stanley on. But you go first.
I literally don't know the song. I'd like to. Don't know the song. Before I go, I wrote a song for Exeter last year. And they played it over the tannoy. I couldn't believe it. Anyway, whatever.
Fantastic.
That's a whole new podcast. Yeah.
I know the story.
Yeah, right. Okay. Cheers.
On Stanley on.
On Stanley on. Cheers.
Cheers,
David.
Thank you. David.